In this video, I'm going to share what I've seen healthcare professionals really want from an agency and what you need to do to keep your team going strong. It's not what you think. On this channel, we help healthcare entrepreneurs start, grow, and sell their businesses. Welcome to Passive Workforce. When dealing with new agencies, the overwhelming majority are focused on the wrong thing when it comes to employee retention and satisfaction. Most new owners think pay rate is what leads to retention and the ability to attract talent. But sorry to break it to you, it's like number 5 on the list when it comes to why staff are choosing to work for your agency. In my agency, we keep rolling data on what matters to our employees, and the most important things are work environment, schedule, benefits, and varied options in that order. So let's talk a little bit about work environment. Work environment is by far the most important thing to healthcare workers and probably all workers in the world. And it's something that people tend to overlook when they start thinking about starting their own business. Most employees and most people actually fall into the employee category. They want to be in a place where they feel like themselves, where they feel comfortable, where they feel appreciated, where they feel that they're a part of an organization that listens to them. Being in a work environment where they feel stifled, where they feel like an outsider, where they feel mistreated or used is usually going to result in them leaving that place. So more than pay, people want to be in a place where they just feel good. Now, this may be different for different people. So when you're asking your employees that are applying or people who are in your organization, what really matters to them about the work environment, what you need to do is extract from them the details. If they give you a vague answer like, oh, I just want to be liked. And it's like, well, what makes you feel liked? Is it being told that you're doing a good job? Is it being celebrated? Is it for having a voice at the table? For me, that's something that really matters when I was an employee. I loved being in organizations where if a problem was clearly presented, that I had a voice in addressing, solving that problem. That's something that really matters to me. My personality type is an ENTP, and we're natural problem solvers. So to be in a work environment where my supervisor says, hey, Carl, can you figure out what we could do about this particular problem? That will get me more excited than my employer telling me that I've done a really good job or getting employee of the month or anything like that. So what I'm saying here is that the sort of things that the employee wants out of their environment, you have to really get down to the details of it to make sure that you understand what those things are about the environment that they like or dislike and be able to address it. Now, when you're dealing with an agency and you have employees who aren't necessarily working in your facility, you're obviously placing them somewhere else, and they tell you, I don't like it there. Your responsibility is to ask them, why not? And really get the details as to why not. Most of the time, it's because they are thrown into an environment where there's no training, there was no onboarding, the facility's probably mismanaged, and they just feel like it's a very stressful place or chaotic place, and they don't want to make a mistake, or they feel that they're not performing their best. And it's like, why do I want to go somewhere where I can't even do my best work? I'm just like, I just feel like I'm part of the mess. If you get that sort of feedback about a particular facility, there's things that you can do about it. Not only can you re-engage that employee that says that they want to go back there, but you could learn what are the mechanics of that facility, implement your own onboarding and orientation system there so that people don't feel like that their first day. And usually if you can transition them into the workplace comfortably, they'll have more success. So that's why it's important to understand the environment and speak to environment when you're trying to bring people in and retain them in your organization. When it comes to schedule, most professionals are looking for a schedule that fits the 9-to-5 world. This is why evenings and night shifts pay more. The compensation referred to as shift differential matches supply and demand for the less popular shifts. For those of you who've been in the staffing business for a while, you could easily be nodding your head along to this because you know what it's like to be screening a new candidate and they tell you they want to work the first shift, 7 to 3, 8 to 4, or they want to work the day shift. And they only want to work Monday through Friday. They want every weekend off, etc. This is commonplace. And the reason for that is because the entire world, or the majority of the world outside of healthcare, functions this way. The banking industry, the post office, most jobs are 9 to 5. And the entire system is set up around the 9-to-5 world. Kids are in school, all the activities are in the weekends, all the activities are in the evening. This is where your social life is. So people don't want to be outside of that social world, or they don't want to be inconvenienced by working a shift that requires them to hire childcare or causes them to miss time with their children. If you're a worker who works in the evenings, right? Your kids go to school from 8 to 4 p.m. or whatever the schedule is in your area. They go to school and you only saw them in the morning for like half an hour getting them ready. And then you don't see them again till the next day if you work in the evening shift, because they're home when you're at work and they're asleep by the time that you come home. This is really bad, right? Because if you love your kids like most people love their kids, they want to have some exposure. They want to have some say in how they're raising them. They want to socialize those kids to be the type of people that they want them to be. So not having variety in the sort of shifts that you offer could be a problem. And as I said, most people are most concerned with being in their world that is 9 to 5. And you'll see that. Just screen your applicants, screen your employees, and you'll see that a lot of them would rather be working the day shift than any other shift. And you could see that it's evident in shift differentials. That's why they pay more on weekends. That's why they pay more in evenings and nights, because they have to do something to attract people to work those shifts. I was a night creature. When I was working in hospitals, I preferred working overnight, just like my father. He preferred the overnight shift because it allowed me to be free during the 9 to 5 hours so I could focus on my business. He was available for us before school and after school before he went to his job. And another thing about working the night shift that was really cool, in my opinion, and what I favored about working nights and weekends, was management wasn't around. So I didn't have to deal with the politics of managers trying to scrutinize my work. I came in, I did what I had to do, and got it done. And most people who work evenings and nights will tell you the same thing. It's like, you know what? I love working the evening shift and night shift because I don't have to deal with anybody. I just got to do my work. I don't have to deal with the family members. I don't have to deal with any of that. I just get my job done and get the hell out of there. So you can see that people really care about shifts. Oftentimes, agency workers are picking up extra shifts or testing different environments. However, there are workers that are full-time agency employees, and at some point, they may develop a need for benefits. When I first got into this business, I didn't think that benefits would really matter that much until I was about maybe 3 years in, and we had this nurse that was super consistent. She worked anywhere between 40 and 60 hours a week. She was a full-time agency worker at this facility. We didn't have to deal with changes in her schedule. She was almost part of the staff. And one day we got a 2-week notice from her saying that she was going to be resigning from her position in the organization. And it was like, what? This woman was phenomenal. What happened? That was the thing. We thought that something must have happened at the facility, or something must have happened, like maybe her paycheck didn't clear. What the hell went wrong that made her resign? And when we were doing our exit interviews and talking to her about why she's resigning, she was like, I really like working here. I really like working at that facility, but I'm going to be having kids soon, and I think I'm going to need health insurance. And before that point, we didn't offer any benefits. It was kind of just straight pay. You work your shift, you get paid your money, and that's it. And I realized that she's not the only person who had left the organization. And we went back and started talking to some people who were consistent and then left to take jobs directly with hospitals or nursing homes. And the overwhelming response was, we loved working there, or we liked working with you. It's nothing personal, but you don't offer benefits. I want some vacation time because when I'm off, if I take a month off, I don't get paid. Or my husband's benefits changed, or he lost his job. He was a union guy. We lost the union benefits, and now I need something to cover us. I have a chronic condition that needs medication, blah, blah, blah. So once I saw that, our philosophy changed. Our philosophy was to offer benefits to those who want it. So at the point of hiring, employees could choose a package that was compensation weighted or benefit weighted. And if they didn't have a need for benefits, they would pick the compensation package, and they would know that if ever there was a need for benefits, now that they want vacation time, they want health care, etc., they don't have to leave the company to get it. They know that the company offers it. See, what happened with those other employees is that the company didn't offer it, so they didn't even come to us to talk about, could you potentially offer us benefits? They just started looking for work, typically directly through the facilities. They applied, they accepted the positions, and then they just moved on. If you offer benefits, whenever there's a need change, they know that they can come to you and say, hey, I would like to activate my benefit package. Is that possible? So that you can switch them from top pay rate to the benefit rate and retain that employee. And this is something that a lot of agencies I see don't address. And it's probably because they're not doing a good job at paying attention to the needs and wants of their employees. And that's something that I really want to drive home in this video, is that if you just talk to your employees and you open that line of communication, you'll learn so much about what really matters to them and what it's going to take to keep them in your organization. These videos are meant to point you in the right direction, so do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. We're focused on building a community of healthcare entrepreneurs, and people like to be a part of something where they see this activity. In fact, we're here teaching you how to make money, so please subscribe, and I thank you very much for that. Another thing that agency workers are concerned with, more than pay, are options. Workers want to know that you can keep them employed and not fall victim to staffing changes or have them be out of work because a contract has ended. You see, with agency workers, you need to understand what's going on with them. Some of them are just picking up extra time, right? They work full-time at a hospital or skilled nursing facility nearby, and they're just working agency shifts to make extra money, right? That's their play money, that's their children's tuition. They have their reasons for why they're working extra shifts. Then there's people who are lifers, who are completely agency workers. And what matters to them is being able to have varied options and choices as to where they can work and the ability to continuously work. So imagine you're someone who picks up shifts periodically and you really hate the facility that you're working in, or there's a new manager that's absolutely a train wreck and you want out. Everything is working well with your agency. They pay you on time. They're positive people. It's a good organization. You want to work for an agency that has other shifts available for you, that are nearby, that if you needed to change the facility, you can, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that, okay? So having a lot of contractual options for them is great, because they know that if one facility doesn't work out, they could come back to you and say, hey, I really don't like it there. Do you have anything else that's in the neighborhood or nearby, similar pay rates, similar shifts that I could work at? And the more you're able to accommodate them in that way, the better off they are. Now, the flip side of that, for those people who are typically working contracts and dependent on full-time work coming from your agency, they want to know that when their assignment, whether it's a 6-week contract or a 13-week contract or whatever it is, when it ends, you have work lined up for them immediately, right? So they're not furloughed or without work for a few weeks. People would rather go from one assignment directly into a new without much downtime. Maybe they'll take a week off in between to get, to see family or travel a little bit before coming back. That's okay too. But they want to know that when they're ready to work again, you have work for them. And there's not like this huge lag, because ultimately they're going to be dipping into their savings. It's just inconvenient for them. So the more options you have to present, because either people want the ability to change and be flexible, or to know that there's consistency in work, is important. So as you're building your agency, try to make sure that you're diversified in offerings so that you're able to satisfy that particular need. Pay is important, but most people would trade the highest pay rate for the above given choices. Of course, people want to be compensated well, and there'll be people who are rate hunters that are only about the highest paying gig. These are the ones that will go to the worst facilities, deal with the toxic coworkers, and be able to stomach it because it's pay that matters most to them. Now that you know what matters to employees, you should check out this video right here where I cover the top 3 mistakes that agencies are making when getting started.